I'd like to let you know that now I'm having polls on Patreon, and these polls are open to everyone. They used to be just for Patreon only, but I've decided to open these and share these with everyone. So if you wish, if you want to click the link in the description below to my Patreon page, you can participate in these polls, which help me decide what sort of content to make. I will be looking forward to your opinions, noble ones. And since many asked about this, here we are ready to continue our time-traveling experience in medieval England. Last time we went to the 14th century, and today again we will go there into the late 14th century and see what we can see. We will focus on medieval towns, villages and cities and the difference between these sort of settlements. So here we are, let's get the portal ready. Here's the thing though, why medieval England? Well, don't worry, in this case, this is just another iteration of this now, which has become a series, and we will be going into medieval England to finish up our latest discussion that we had, but of course we will be going back to medieval Italy, perhaps even Renaissance. There are no limits, no limitation to the power of our portal. We could even meet historical Italian people such as Marco Polo and the great Leonardo da Vinci. If you like this idea, give us a thumbs up and get ready to travel in time. Okay, here we are. So we are back in the late 14th century. First things first, what kind of atmosphere would we see? Because you see, when we play video games or we watch films, we always have two completely different approaches to the Middle Ages. It's either everything is bleak and gloomy and people are all sad and miserable, they're all wearing very dark colored clothing, everything looks dirty and disgusting, and yes, that's definitely one approach that we see, and sometimes it's even exasperated when it reaches even further when we play dark fantasy games, such as Dark Souls, for example. But on the other hand, we've got the fairy tale. When you think of the Middle Ages, everything is so beautiful, and you see princesses and princes, knights in shining armor, you see everything is green and bright and blue, and people are so happy and they dance all day. And of course, when you look at that, yeah, I've heard a lot of people, and I myself, I've got to say, when I was younger, and you imagine, wow, I wish I was born in the Middle Ages. Do you? Well, if you could choose to be a nobleman, then why not? But all the other options, I think, would be you would rather change your mind. And yet, reality lies in between. The medieval period is definitely a period where sometimes it's really astonishing, and I'm sure that if we could go and explore a medieval town, for example in England, or like a big city, we would be amazed at the beauty and splendor of the castles and the cathedrals still there, being majestic, and we would see the armorers and the weapon masters working, producing amazing suits of armor that would definitely be breathtaking, and also the idea of having so much nature. So as we approach one of those stone-walled cities and we see the two round towers and the gateway, and we go through and see all the merchants and the people with all their colorful dressing, to be honest, because people in the Middle Ages enjoyed using very vibrant hues. And there they are. On the left side of the road, you see a little group of men-at-arms, and you're like, wow, they look so cool. And on the right side, you see the very luxurious house of an abbot. But there would also be a very dark side to many medieval cities. Now let's say, for example, that you were visiting one of the largest cities in the north, York. Now, of course, the stone walls and everything would be absolutely a very pleasant view, but probably one of the first things you would see would be the blackened heads of criminals stuck on poles above the city gates, their eyes plucked out of birds. Treason would be punished, and legs and arms would be hanging by ropes. All of this a reminder of the power of the king. Shadow and light, power and decay, beauty and disease. A few hundred yards from the city gate, you might find yourself entangled in the muddy road. As you try to find your way following a near brook, you see the banks full of piles of refuse, broken crockery, animal bones, entails. A few miles away, rich green grasses. You have now witnessed the contrasts of a medieval city. Now, of course, it's rather easy to identify a medieval city. Important cities had their armories, they had their smiths, they had cathedrals or perhaps very lavish parishes. They, of course, had a very high stone wall. They were fortified. They were all built around the concept of the principle of defending their lord. But what about a small town and a village? How do you define those? Well, in modern day, when we consider the words village and town, small town in English, then of course the first thing that comes to mind is size. But that was not always the case in the medieval period. You, my friend, are now traveling. You've been walking for the last 5 hours, and after meeting absolutely no one and hearing only the sound of birds, you encounter a settlement. Around 100 houses, 3 or 4 streets, perhaps 10 or 12 stables, and a total of 500 people live in this place. Is this a town or is this a village? Well, of course, by modern day standards, this would be a village. You wouldn't even call it a town. Thing is, though, that in medieval times there are 2 things that need to be taken into consideration. Factor number 1, of course, population. In the entirety of the country, as we said, towards the end of the 14th century, we have almost 2.5 million. That's all. So, of course, already things need to be seen into proportion. But another important, probably the most important factor is, does this place have a market or not? Because if the entirety of the houses, the urban area is built around a market, then this is a town. Whereas if there is no market, it's a village. A town is a very important center for medieval people. It's a place where you go to not only buy all the things, the commodities that you would need, but you can also sell, of course, all these things. So at least one day a week, the market opens and it's filled with people, enthusiasm, music, bright colors, tailors, butchers, goods. And of course no armor, because for armor and weapons you need to go to the city. But here's the thing, a city would definitely have a much bigger market than any small town, so why even bother going to a town if you can go to a city? If you're a noble lord, for example, can't you just take your horse and, a few guardsmen, a few knights, and just go to the city? Well, yeah, technically you could, but here's the thing. For everyday things, for those little things that you might need, for example, to fix something, let's say that something got broken, a ladder got broken, and you need new nails or whatever, and you can't produce them in your castle, or you have run out of them, which I'm sure would have happened, traveling to the nearest city or very big town, the one with, again, a stone wall, a town wall, and it might take 2 days of travel and having to spend the night there. Whereas if you just go to a very small town which still has a market, it would make life a lot easier. And this is why small towns thrived. As a matter of fact, by 1300s, almost nowhere in England is more than 8 miles from a small town with a market. Most places are within 6 miles. A far easier journey and a lot more manageable for everyone who is looking to buy or sell. To quote Ian Mortimer from the book The Time Traveller's Guide to Medieval England, The size of the crowd which gathers on market days will surprise you. Several hundred people come in from farms and manors in the surrounding parishes. In addition, there are the travellers and the long-distance merchants who journey from market to market, selling their wares. Colours abound. Music is to be heard in the streets. The alehouses and inns are full to overflowing. There is laughter, shouting and banter, and much parodying of strutting horses. Most of all, there is a sense of excitement that leaves you in no doubt that this small community of 100 houses is not merely a provincial outpost of the trading world, but an integral part of it. The holding of a market has transformed this part of the landscape into a hubbub of commerce, discussion, gossip and news, if only for one day each week. Now I would like to take a moment to present this book to you, The Time Traveller's Guide to Medieval England by Ian Mortimer. I've been using this book to create content lately, one of the many that I use for, but of course I've decided to start sharing the books that I use so that you know the sort of bibliography that I use when I make a video. Dr. Mortimer is a very experienced historian and I thoroughly enjoy the way he writes. It's very he has a very charming way to engage in historical matter. So if you're one of those people who enjoy history but you don't want to read books that are too academic and they sort of bore you, then this is definitely a good pick. Link in the description below if you're interested, and I strongly suggest this book because it's fantastic and I will continue using it to make content together with many other books. Alright, but I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.